Hey everybody, Scout Crafty here again. Mishmash Monday. I know you've been waiting all weekend for this, and I hope you had a nice weekend. Like I told you, this month is flying by, so don't rush it. Don't rush it. Enjoy every day. And today, as every mishmash, we start off with a little bit of a rant. Not so much of a rant, but this one here might be disturbing to some people, so viewer discretion is advised. And what I want to tell you is that, believe it or not, there are vampires amongst us. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I'm out of my mind even saying such a thing. But it's true. There are vampires amongst us. And not the vampires that you and I remember as kids, the blood-sucking ones. These ones are emotional vampires. And if you've never been around one, you're very lucky, but most of us have. And some of us still are. And an emotional vampire is somebody that will steal the life out of you, it seems like, like, how there's always an optimist and a pessimist. Well, these people are like, they're pessimists but what they do is they suck all the optimism out of you, you know what I'm talking about. You ever go somewhere and you're in a great mood, next thing you know, just like Debbie Downer, or somebody comes up and the guy's always bummed out and this and that. And when you leave that person, you feel worse, but they feel better. Because, it has a way of balancing it out, So that's why it's really important to surround yourself with optimists and positive people. Most important thing you could do. And, you got to get rid of those negative people in your life, You have to do it. If anything you do in life that gives you a bad feeling afterwards, that you say, I don't enjoy that, you got to just kick it to the curb. Trust me on this one. This is some old-timer guys speaking here, and especially for you young guys, sometimes you think, you have a friend or something like that, and you say, well, we've been friends a long time. If this guy is leaving you if you're miserable every time you leave this guy or girl, or whatever the case may be, even if you're in a relationship and they're sucking the life out of you because that they're getting the better half of it and you're just leaving every day miserable. We used to have a lot of guys at work used to work tons of overtime just so they wouldn't have to go home. Think about that. So emotional vampires, they're out there and they're tricky. They'll sneak up on you when you least expect it. Anyway, we got a lot to do today, a lot of things to cover, so let's see what we can conjure up and get started. Today's mosh, our first project, comes from Christopher Lusk, good friend of mine out in Texas. Oh, Texas brings back great memories. When I was in the service, half my platoon were from Texas, and I became an honorary Texan because I had to win them over. And I'll tell you something, you'll never meet anybody in your life, you'll never meet anybody more proud of their state than Texans. Mark Randall's another guy out there from Texas, and you guys know what I'm talking about if you know anybody from Texas. They love their state, and it's a beautiful state. I've only been there a couple times, but only to get on and off a transport plane, but I'd love to go visit it and really get a look-see. Big state. Texas. So, Christopher, let me show you what he sent. This is what Christopher sent, and it's a number 15 safety grip hammer, and these were really nice. They were aluminum, made of aluminum. This one has seen much better days because, it was used, and that's a testament to a good tool. When you see a tool that's worn out, that means that tool was grabbed a lot of times because it was a good tool. When you see some tools I come across that are old, but they're like in mint shape because they were horrible users, this is a perfect tool. It has great balance. It's aluminum. It's beautiful. Let me show you the issues here we have. So we have, obviously the heads are screwed up. And how it works is you have two caps here like this, a threaded bolt that goes through the middle here, and it's threaded on both sides, unscrews from this side too. But you can see here that these are unserviceable. Sometimes you could trim a little bit off the top. These are cracked through, you could see. There's a little metal insert in there that holds the head onto the thread. So now I've been kind of putting this off because, it's a job you got to think about. I'll tell you something. Some jobs you just have to think about. So Chris sent me, he says, how's it going with the I said, Chris, I'm just trying to come up and think about different way to make this head. So he goes, you know what? He says, I'm going to send you 2 new heads. So in the mail, months after the hammer came, he sends me this, and I'm like, oh wow. So I had him in the wheel, so I just said, it's okay, it's just a matter of time of, you know, putting this together and cleaning it. So then when I get down here, I look, and look at, oh, this is from, I guess maybe they had a number 20. This is a number 15. This might be from another 20. I was like, oh man. So now I said, okay, we got to salvage this. We got to do something. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a hammerhead for these, you know? So I started looking in my stockpile. Now, any respectful do-it-yourselfer has a stockpile of wood, of plastic, of aluminum. I went through all my things and I said, I would love to make it out of Delrin. This is Delrin. Delrin is, this stuff is gold, okay? This stuff to work with. If you ever turned Delrin before, worked with it, it's just beautiful. This is a gift from God right here. And over here, this is some other kind of plastic, but this is good too, but it's a square stock. So out of here, I dug up this piece. I said, that make a nice body, and then I could put the 2 caps on here. And like this, right? Turn this down on the lathe. I got to put a hole in the middle here, and then make a handle. And I said, okay, this here is such a thick thread. I have no bolts in the so okay, that's got to... So everything's a delay, you know, when you're trying to do a project like this. And, you know, like I said, we got a quick turnaround here at the channel. And I got to do these projects off camera to get it done for you guys. So I said, okay, let me see if I can make 2 of these out of Delrin and at least save this hammer before we get to that. Okay, step 1 is to see, before we start mangling anything, let's see what the threads on this thing is, because we're going to have to tap into something anyway. Using my trusty thread checker here, I could see here that this is a 5/8 by 11, okay? You can see that here. It's written there, 5/8 by 11. Okay, so that's a common thread size, no problem. Now I said, well, I have the big one out. Let me see if any of these, wouldn't you know, it's between 3/4 10 and 1 inch, well, 3/4 10, and the next size up here is 1 inch by 12 threads per inch. So this is probably 7/8 by maybe 10 threads per inch. I'm going to have to check that. But right now we'll work on this so we know what that is. Okay, see what we did here? We made a cut over here, a cut here, and a cut here, just till we got down to the metal insert in there. We didn't want to cut the metal insert, but we just wanted to see what it's like. Now we're going to put it in a vise like this, just above the cut line here, and then we're going to peel this back, just like you were peeling back a grapefruit or something. We're going to take a pliers and see if we can peel that back. Okay, so here is the, it's a knurled nut, you could see here with a split in the middle, and that nut fit in here, and you can see it was probably formed around this nut. You know, they poured the plastic or whatever this material was in around here, and you could see that's how that was encapsulated in here. Now, I thought it was something maybe we could press in with the dake or something like that, but we won't be able to do that. So we'll see what we're going to do with this here. Let's clean everything. Now, before we start anything, we have to make sure we have a tap. Here we go. 5/8 by, right here. Let's see. Over here. 5/8 violet. This is it. We're good. Okay, in order to try and reproduce this, what we're going to have to do is, remember you have to turn this side outwards, so it's going to be like this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try and get this dimensions all here done up, and then if we're comfortable and happy with the way it fits the hammer, like this, it's got to fit nice and tight. If we're comfortable, then we'll trim out the outside. If we're not comfortable, we can always cut and work our way further in until we get a good fit. So that's what we're going to be doing. Now, this is what I had in mind when I was doing this. Now, you see, the problem with these caps is usually the 1/4 inch at the end usually gets muffed up, you know? You see here? And, you know, the rest of the cap usually stays good, but it's always this end here. And sometimes you could cut them off, sometimes you can't. So what I did was to try and design a better mousetrap, so to speak. So what I did was, we did here. You see, it's close to here. Okay, I'm in camera frame now. You see that? So I did that. Now what I did is I made a plug here like this. See that? And watch how this fits in here. Listen to this. Right? You see that? Now, you know, it ain't going anywhere, and I'll trim this down, but that's my idea. So this way you can always punch this out with a new cap, and that, you know, I'm going to try this out because I really think this will work well. We'll see when I get the other one done. The whole thing is you got to get a really good fit. You can always put a drop of, just a drop of CA or something just to hold it, but like I said, Delrin's very stable. Don't expand, contract, so this should be real good. We'll try it out. Okay, we did both ends. That's the end from before. We just did this one, made an extra cap. Like I said, the beauty of this, and listen to how this snaps on here. You ready? Listen to this fit. Now, that's on there, you know. What I'm going to do is tomorrow I'm going to put it in the lathe, turn it down, and make it nice. And then this side obviously goes towards the hammer. But, you know, if ever this gets banged up, you take a punch, you punch the cap out, and you can put another one on and just do the same thing. So we'll see how that works. Delrin is a beautiful material to work with. Super hard, super strong, super expensive. Funny, this is just the shavings I made today on the lathe, making these things. This is how much shavings you get from Delrin. Too bad you can't use this for something, huh? You know, it's kind of impregnated with some WD-40 as a lubricant, but man, look at that, huh? Have you ever seen so much shavings from just small little pieces? That's one of the pains about working with it. It's just a little bit, you know, you do get a lot of shavings, but it is a great material. It's day 2. We're down here, and I went through some of the footage. I'm already at 12 minutes. We got to move. I didn't even start the handle yet. Let's see what we're up to. I used some slow set epoxy overnight to put the caps on. I still should be able to pop them off when I need to replace them. So now we're going to put these in the lathe and turn them down and then work on the finish the caps, and you can see they came out real nice. You see that on the inside here? And one I made slightly domed, this one here, and one I made completely flat. But they're real nice, right? And turn down, you can't even tell. Now we have to do this, and you see what we're going to be dealing with here. You see all them straight, you know, this was a rough casting more or less, but I did some research and I found out where this is from. Now this one says Fort Worth, Texas. However, this one here says Little Fur, and that's all I can make out. The rest of the handle. Now I could strip this handle off, but this handle is still serviceable and it feels real nice in the hand. So let's get working on this and try and figure out where that's from. Maybe Christopher can let me know where that is. Now, one thing you have to realize is that aluminum has a way of gunking up and clogging up most of your discs and sanding belts. So you want to use your older disc because you're probably going to have to throw them away after you use them on aluminum. Now you know my favorite part. Remember what this hammer looked like before we started. And we're calling this project done. Christopher, I think you appreciate it now. Look at this. Got everything nice and cleaned up, and these heads are solid on there now, and we'll try it out in a minute. Did the best we could with the handle, you know, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's comfortable. You can see here, cleaned up all the inside. Isn't this nice? Let's try it out. Let's bang. Now we'll try banging over here, and we'll see, make sure these don't loosen up, you know, or unscrew, or whatever the case may be. So let me lower the volume and try it out. Okay, let's check it out. Okay, look at that. Not even a little mark. Delrin, I'm telling you, this stuff is the cat's pajamas. Anyway, we'll call this one in the can until we get to the
other tips. We'll see what we do.
Okay, so that was a real fun project. Sorry we couldn't get to more of a mosh. I'm going to do a little bit more of a mosh on Wednesday to make up. We only got really one project done today. It's running a little bit late. Christopher, thank you so much. All my friends from Texas, thank you. And have a nice day, everybody. Take care now. Bye-bye.